Thank you, Dave. Everybody pick up your device. You know, if you have an iPad, pick it up. If you have an iPhone, pick that up, right? As you're holding it, you look at it and say, it looks like a little computer. Well, there is more compute power in this device than it took to launch our astronauts to the moon. Okay. This device can do 2 billion, that's 1,000 million instructions a second, right? As can this device. And if you think about that, that's 1,000 additions a second. I'm sorry, 1 billion additions a second. And that sounds like a lot, but when you think about it, the screen has little pixels on it, right? The pixels are so fine that you can't really see them in the picture. And if you're showing a video, each one of those pixels, the processor in here has to calculate what the color of that pixel is. So if there are 1,000 by 1,000 pixels on here, that's a lot of calculations it has to do to make your picture seem really smooth. So when you look at it in that context, 2 billion instructions a second doesn't sound like that much. What I'm going to do is try to go through the outside of the device first, and then we're going to go look at some of the things about your device on the inside. For example, we'll go look and see which device do you have, which iPad and which iPhone do you have? How much memory is in it? Okay. So your iPad on the outside, if you're looking at the face, it has a little camera up here at the top. It's called the selfie camera. And there may be a button down here called the home button. And I always say the home button is my favorite button. Because whenever I don't know what to do, you press the home button. Now, many of you are out there saying, well, I don't have a home button on my device. If you don't, you have a little line at the bottom. My iPhone here does not have a button at the bottom. And whenever I want to get the same function as the home button, is you put your finger in the bottom edge and you flick up. Okay, like so. And that takes you back to the home screen. Sometimes you may have to do it several times to get back to what we're calling the screen with all the applications on it.
Well, I hope you're not reading another joke.
No, I was laughing at the passcode that I changed. I just about forgot what it was. This is called the home screen. Okay. And it has apps on it, it's called. Okay. Now, if you look around your device, at the top of it, or on the side of it, is something called the power button. And it's not called the on-off button for a reason. When I press it once, the lock screen comes up. When I press it again and release, the screen goes dark. I did not power off my machine. Okay, I just put it to sleep. Okay, and it's the same as if your computer goes to sleep and the screen goes dark. And you hit a key and it pops right up. If you want it to go down, go completely off, and you have a home button on your machine, you press and hold that button, and it comes up with a screen that looks like this. Okay? It says slide to power off. If you don't have a home button, you have to press and hold the power button and the volume. Hold on, let me try it. You have to press and hold the volume down button, which is on the other side of your phones or iPads, and the power button concurrently. And you get a screen that says slide to power off. All right. So that's the power button. By the way, if you don't have a home button and you press the power button and release it quickly, you get something called Siri. On those with a home button on them, you press and hold the home button and Siri will come up.
Nothing to worry.
Say again, please. Was that a question? Okay. On the other side of the iPads, you have a volume up and volume down button. So that would be on this side. The power button's on the top. Okay, volume up and volume down. On the back of your iPads is a rear-facing camera. And if you look around your camera or your device, you'll see a little hole. Mine happens to be here on this iPad, and that's actually your microphone. The only reason I tell you that is be sure you're not covering up when you're trying to speak.
Hello.
On the bottom of your iPads are speakers, and the power cable is where it gets plugged in. On the iPhones, it's very similar things, except on the iPhone where you have volume up and volume down, there's the church button. Okay, and that's this one right here. And it's a little switch. And the only way I know how to turn it on and off is with your fingernail. If you pull it down, it mutes your device. Okay. So that's what you use when you're in church or in the movie theater or in any situation where you don't want your phone to be doing anything. Okay. So far, so good. Any questions? Oh, I like this. On your iPhones, supposedly ballistic glass on both the iPhone and the iPad. The only thing I put on I do not put a special screen or screen cover on my iPad. I do on the iPhones, and it saved me quite a few times. All right. And I recommend you get one that's guaranteed for life, because I've gotten mine replaced 2 or 3 times. Because I put my phone in my pocket, my keys are in my pocket, and bingo, something cracks. And it's always the screen that you put on top. It has always been the screen on top for me. All right. On the back of the iPhones, you may have 1, 2, or 3 cameras. For example, on this iPhone, there are 3 cameras, plus a flash, which is also doubles as a flashlight. There's also a LiDAR sensor on there, and it's used, that's the one at the bottom here. And it's used for night vision and setting the depth of field at night. All right. So everybody turn
Question
on.
about that?
Say again, please.
Ask a question about that.
Sure.
If your phone, your iPhone only has one camera, it
Yeah,
has one very small black dot. Is that the one you're talking about? That's the field of vision thing?
I think that is your microphone on the camera.
Oh,
That's your mic with the little dot there, I think is the microphone. I'm
is
not
the dot
positive.
between?
I'm
is
not
the dot
positive of
between-
that. I thought the microphone was at the bottom, but that on the phones.
It's
I'm
not
not
in
sure-
my,
I'm not sure what that little dot is.
okay. It's very small and it's in between the camera and the white dot that you said was could act as a
Which
flashlight.
was the flash, right?
Yeah, flash.
I'm
Okay.
not sure what it is.
Thank
That's
you.
That's a new, it must be a breather hole. It may be barometric pressure, but I'm not sure.
Hey, Bill,
Yes, go ahead.
the flash is on top.
It depends on the phone.
Well, mine is on top.
On this one, it's the white dot there. On this one, it's the white dot at the top,
Yeah, right. That's,
top right, yes. And that has the little hole in it too, Leah. The
and
newer-
what is that? What is that for?
That's what we just talked about. Hey, Bill, do you want to do a little research on that one? Okay. What's the little hole in the back of the camera with the cameras that's beside the cameras?
I'm not sure that it's a hole, but it's just black, very small.
Yeah, it's a pinhole kind of thing.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. All right. If everybody would turn on your devices. And I'm going to turn mine on as well, and I'll screen share. What happened? Hey, do you see what I see? I hope.
Yes.
Yes.
You don't see any people, right? You just see my screen.
Yes.
Yes.
When you turn on your device, you get something that looks like this. This is the iPhone, this is the iPad. And these things are called what? Okay, somebody's got their multiple devices turned in. Just mute them. What are these things called?
Icons.
Icon.
Icons, programs, applications. Okay. What I'd like you to do is everybody look for one that looks like this. It's called settings. And I'm going to go to it on my iPad here. Okay. And if you go to it on your iPad, I'll go to it on the iPhone as well. All right. You get a screen that looks like this. And I just want to spend a little time here, not a lot. Because you want to know something about your device. Right? How much memory it has, what the device is, which version of the iPhone or iPad, those kind of things. If you go to general, I went to general on my iPad and my iPhone, and you click or tap on About. And there's a whole lot of information here about your phone. What you have named it. By the way, at this point, I'm going to have you do something. If yours says iPhone or iPad, you see the little arrow there? The little arrow here on the iPhone, the little arrow here. If you tap that, and I'll tap it on the iPhone as well. And what you want to do is change it so it says it's something more personal, like I have changed to Bill's iPhone Pro 12 or 12 Pro. And Bill's iPad Air. Now I realize that some of you don't know how to use the keyboard yet. And so on the iPhone there, again, somebody's got their speaker on. I'm going to mute everybody, okay? So if you want to speak, be sure to unmute yourself. All right? So to use the keyboard, and this is just, we'll get to keyboard later, but you see the X there? So if yours says iPhone, you click the X, and I'll tap the X, and then you type in what you would like it to say. Now, I'm not going to change it. I may have to now. Okay, and then tap done when you finish that. So that it identifies your phone to you, and we'll talk about how it identifies your phone to other people later on.
I have your answer.
Go ahead, what's the pinhole?
It's a microphone for rear-facing microphone for when they're recording video.
All right, it is a microphone. Wow. Okay. So there's a microphone there, and there's on your phones, and there's also one at the bottom of the phone. So when you're speaking on the phone, it picks it up from the bottom. All right, thank you, William. You'll notice that the second item down there is the version. That's the operating system version. Now I have 15.2 on my iPhone and 15.1 on the iPad. We'll talk more about that in a minute. The next item down.
How did you go from putting in your name to seeing what version you had?
I tapped done at the bottom.
Okay.
Did that work? So I'd gone here and I put in my name, and then I tapped done at the bottom on the keyboard.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, super. Here it tells you which version of the iPhone you have, or which version of the iPad or iPhone that you have.
Mm-hmm.
The actual serial number on it, which is if you call Apple, they'll want to have that. If you had coverage for your phone or your iPad, they would mention it here. So some of you got the additional coverage and you click on it, it should show you your and I can purchase additional coverage if I want it. Below that, some other pretty good information. is how much information you have on your device. For example, you'll notice I have on my iPad 537 songs, 44 videos, 2,967 photos.
I don't feel so bad with my 645.
Well, here's the one, probably none of you have this many, 347 applications on my iPad and 278 on my iPhone. The important thing here is the next item down. It's capacity and availability, or available. Okay. The capacity on my iPad is 64 gigabytes. How many out there know what a gigabyte is?
It's a fairly good size.
And if you ask your grandchildren, they'll just say a lot, and I want more. Okay, let me give you an idea here. The word gigabyte is made up of two things, giga and byte. And giga means billion or close to a billion. That's 1,000 million. And byte is the amount of space on your device that a character would take. Now, not the kind of character we've got out there with Dave, but it's the kind of character that you would type, like an A, B, C, D, exclamation point, @ 2. If you hit the space bar to the computer, that's a character. And the thing I asked my class is, how many characters are there in a book?
Mm,
Okay.
a lot.
What I did was last night for class, I sat down, picked up a paperback of about 350 pages, and I started counting the characters.
Hmm.
And what I did was I opened it to the middle of the book, and I counted every character in the first line, the spaces, the periods, exclamation points, and letters and numbers in the first line. And then I counted the number of lines, multiplied those two numbers together, and multiplied that by the number of pages.
Oh, wow.
That was a shortcut way of counting them, and came out to around 1 million characters. So the question I usually give at this point is, how many books are in 1 billion bytes? And didn't I just say there 1,000 million is a billion? And that's approximately equivalent to a gigabyte. And what I'm telling you at this point is you can put 1,000 books in 1 gigabyte.
Wow.
So on my iPad here, I can put 64,000 books. And on my iPhone, I can put 128,000 books. And again, that sounds like a lot, but for example, a picture takes the same space as a book. One picture, one book, approximately. If you have a song on here, it takes about the same space as a book. And then there are programs that take a lot of space. If you download a movie, it takes something like maybe 4 to 8 gigabytes. Okay. So that's the way you fill up the capacity of your device. If you look here, it says I have 5.78 gigabytes left on my iPad. It's nearly full. I'm down to less than 10% of the space that I can add on here. Okay. Now, in a later class, we'll show you how to, if your number is below 5, which mine just is, or just about. If it is at or below 5 gigabytes, you're getting close to the point where you won't be able to do an update. In other words, what happens on an update is Apple downloads the new version of the OS or the changes or whatever and puts it in a temporary file and then updates your system. And if there's not enough space on your device to do that process, you won't be able to update it. So for those of you who have, let's say, 5 gigabytes or less there, you need to be careful and you need to be judicious about the number of photos, applications, and videos that are on your device. When I got my new iPhone, I got 128 gigabytes. So I have a lot more latitude there to play around. Any questions on that?
Mm-mm.
Good. Below that's a lot of other information that you don't need to know unless Apple asks you. Okay? So you now know how much space you have on your device, how much of it you're using. You have the name of your device. You've put your name on your device, and it says software version there. It used to be about 2 iterations of the software versions prior to this one. I think it was in 13. It used to be that the operating system was the same on both devices. So they just had your iPhone, iPad, iOS. They've changed that now where they are separate operating systems, although they seem to be keeping in sync with the number. So it says software version 15.2 on my iPad, and it looks like I have not updated to 15.2 on my 15.2 on my iPhone. It looks like I have not updated to 15.2 on my iPad yet. Even if I update and it says the same, the functions and some of the way it works will be different between the iPhone and the iPad. So let me go back to general here. And it says about, so I click the back arrow there at the top. That's one of the ways you navigate through the settings menus. And then it says software update in the general setting. So I'll click the arrow there. And it says 15.2 is available for my device. Now I do have automatic updates turned on.
Mhm.
In order for it to do an automatic update, you have to have it plugged in and not powered off, just the screen going dark. And it doesn't always do an update that way. Most of the time it will. It may not do it at one night. It'll do it one night, 3 or 4, because Apple has a lot of updates, devices out there they have to update, and they can't do them all in one night. If I want to manually do it, I just click here. Now, I don't recommend you do that right now on any of your devices, because then basically it will be occupying bandwidth on your Wi-Fi network, although you can still use your device until it goes to install. So it's a 2-step process. It downloads and then it installs.
Mhm.
Okay? Any questions there? That's all I wanted to spend on settings right now.
Well,
So
can you
you're-
do it on the iPhone, Bill?
Say again,
Can you do it on the iPhone?
same thing.
Show us on the iPhone.
Oh, well, I can't because I'm up to date there. But let me go back. It says software update. Okay, it says software update. I will click software update and it says I'm up to date here. It may very well at this point say you need to update. Now, there's a bunch of fields of thought there on when to do an update. Some people say, well, don't do it until they get all the bugs out of it.
Do it anyway.
My field of thought is do it, put up with the bugs because there are security updates in most of the updates that you're given. So you want to keep up to date on the security and put up with a bug or two that might exist.
Bill, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Like Windows, can you roll back an update? No, if you had an update and it's screwing things up for you, is there a way to roll back?
I haven't done it, Dave,
Okay.
so I don't know.
I have a question about,
Hey,
the
Bill, Hey,
update.
Bill, just a minute. Hey, Bill, could you check that one out too? You with me,
Yes.
Bill? William, are you with me?
I'm with you. I will do it.
Thank you. And what, Leah, what was the question?
Yes, when I hit the automatic updates and it says it's on, when I hit the on, I get below it, I get 15 iOS 15.2 Apple. It doesn't say that it's been done, which I'm assuming means it needs to be done.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yeah. Does
Okay,
it say
thank you.
install down there?
Download and it's, yeah, learn more, and then there's a divider and it says download and install.
Like it says on my iPad right now.
Yes,
Yep. And you can, when we get done with the meeting today, you can go ahead and click that. Just make sure it's plugged in
okay. Thank you.
and it will take off and do it. Okay?
Bill,
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Diane, go ahead.
Yeah, with automatic updates, my understanding is if you have the automatic updates, if you have it plugged in at night, it's supposed to automatically update it and install it. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, I have it set for download only.
Okay.
So theoretically, it should download it, but and then I can install it when I want. Is that correct?
That's correct.
But I'm not getting that option to install only. When I'm getting the option to download and install, so I have to download it again. That takes more time.
It's not happening at night, is what you're saying.
Yeah, even though I have it set for download only, it's obviously not downloading.
Let me show some folks what you're talking about. You see where it says automatic updates on my iPad there,
Mhm. No. Oh, yes.
right here? And it says on. You tap the arrow and you can say, I want to download, or I want to download and install it. And I'm finding that it doesn't, as Diane said, so you can do that. Also, I'm finding that it doesn't always do it. There may be just too much going on with Apple, or they're not doing it on major updates. I'm not sure what's going on there, but you can always go to here and click download and install before you go to bed. Okay, so turn your iPad on, come to this point, click download and install. And then you can, I think you can turn off the screen and it will continue to do it. Okay? All right, everybody go back to the home screen. And as we've talked about, these are icons or apps. And if you're from the old school, they're called programs. Okay. Now you will notice that I have 3 screens worth of programs on my iPad here. I know I have 3 screens because I have 3 dots down here in the bottom. On my iPhone, I have 2 dots. Or no, I have 3 dots there as well. And you're saying, I'm sure you're out there just begging the answer to this question. How does he get those 300 apps in 3 pages when you can only put 24 on a page? Well, I do it by combining them into these little gray boxes, and they're called application folders. So you see the little boxes there on that screen? They look different because they house multiple applications. For example, for books, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different applications that work with books. Now, I'm sure you're saying, well, how did you get the name books and all those apps in that little folder? No, you were asking that question. All right. The way I did it and let's say I had like 11 pages or 12 pages of apps on my device at one time. And I said, man, I can't find things. And so I saw that I had a lot of similarities. For example, I had a lot of different applications that had to do with book reading. So I said, I'm going to combine those together. So if I go to, let's say I have messages and voice memos, and I wanted to combine those 2. All right. Well, the first thing you have to do is get them to shake or be nervous. And you do that by just pressing and holding a blank area of the screen. See where the little dot is on my iPad there? I'm just going to press and hold. And you see how everything started to shake? A couple of things there. The minus sign means you can remove that app from the screen or your device. So if I click that little minus sign, it says remove from home screen, or well, let me remove it from the device. Let me not pick that one. I'll pick a different one. If I click the minus sign here, it says delete app entirely from the device or just remove it from the home screen. If you press the screen again and release, they'll stop shaking. Now, one thing before I go back to that and get them shaking and combine them, what's the number mean?
How many messages you have in that message folder?
It's actually how many messages, in this case, it's how many messages I have not read.
Oh, have not read. That's correct. I knew that.
Okay. If you have a number on your email and it says 23 or 427, that's the number of emails you have not read. Okay.
I knew
So
that.
that number represents different things on different devices.
Mhm.
Okay.
I have an answer for you, Bill.
Go.
It's theoretically possible, not recommended, not supported by Apple. You have to be tied to a computer. You have to put it into a maintenance mode, and then you have to, basically wipe the thing and then download from a backup that you had saved previously. And it just was so complex that the authors said, you're better off to just reset it to factory settings and start over again than you are to go down that path.
Wow. Wow. But that probably doesn't even get you back to the previous operating system.
When you get back to the previous operating system, none of the backups you took on the new operating system will work.
Okay. So they make it hard to do that, is the answer to the question. All right. Everybody thank you, Bill. Everybody get them shaking. And now I'm going to take messages here, and I put my finger on it and I press down, and now I can move messages over to here. So I can rearrange the apps I have. And you might be sitting there saying, well, I want to put messages on the other screen. So while they're shaking, you press and hold, and you move it to the edge and hold it right there. And you see how it goes, jumps through the various screens you have?
Ah, you have to
You-
hold it there.
And you hold it there, and then you let go when you get it on the screen you want. Okay? I'm not sure where I put that one. Oh, over here. Well, I'm going to go back to here and then let go, and now it's on this screen. And I'll move it to the edge over here and let go, and now it's on the first screen by itself. So that's the first thing you can do to rearrange the apps you have. The second one is combine the two. So I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put it on top of voice memo very carefully, and then let go. And now I have two applications, and Apple said, oh, they look like utilities. So I'm going to name it utilities for you. So now I have two shaking applications in utilities. But I know there's somebody out there saying, well, what if I don't want the name utilities? There's this little X over here. This is the, whoops, got to get them shaking again. This little X over here. And this is a general piece of advice or information you should remember. If you have a text box like this one in utilities, and there's an X here, if you click the X, it deletes that name, brings up the keyboard. Now you're not going to see a keyboard on my device because I have an external keyboard. And you can type in what you would like. So I'm going to make it Messages Plus. So now I have a folder called Messages Plus. And there it is. Okay, now all of you are down there saying, well, I didn't want to do that, Bill. I want to get it back to the way it was. Again, you get them shaking. And then you open that folder you'd like to change. And here's the trick here. I'm going to put my finger on messages there, and I'm going to move it, but I'm going to move it out of the folder and down to a blank area and then release. So now messages is no longer in the folder I had created. If I open the folder again and I pull voice memos out of it, two things happen. voice memos is removed from the folder and the folder disappears. So you don't have any empty folders. So I'd like all of you to try that with 2 or 3 apps and then separate them for about 3 or 4 minutes. Just try it, and you have a question, go ahead and speak up. So go ahead and try it. It always helps if you do it once or twice, and it seems to stick better.
This is Cheryl. I don't know how to get that gray dot. Is that just your fingertip?
Yeah, that's just my fingertip. You're not going to get that. When
Then
it-
how, I can't get the icons to shake.
Just put your finger on a blank area of your screen and press and hold.
I've done that several times.
Don't squish it. Just, I'm going to do it with my finger. Press and hold. Now, if you have an older version of the operating system, try pressing and holding on one of the apps and just continue holding it. Press and hold.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay,
That'll do it.
good.
Thank you.
All the other things I covered should work.
Question, Bill.
Yes, go ahead.
I have 3 boxes where yours says Sarasota at 72 degrees. I have that, mine's only 71 degrees, but I have 2 other picture things up there, taking away my first page of icons for
Right.
the most part. How do I get rid of one of them says add your items and another is pictures of people?
You see the minus sign on the box? If they're shaking,
Okay. Yes.
tap the minus sign.
Ah.
Did that work?
Yes. Thank
Okay.
you.
We'll get to how you get those boxes in a minute.
What is the difference between this and the app library? One is that you do it, the other is that Apple does it for you. Oops, he's not there.
Your answer is yes.
Thank you. Can you change the boxes? Can you change what's in those boxes in the app library?
No,
Thank you.
Okay. Any questions? No questions? Wow.
I'd like to know, this is Cheryl again, how you got Sarasota weather on on this home screen without going to Weather Channel or something. I'd like to have that on mine.
Isn't that cool?
Mhm.
That's something called a widget, and we talk about that in a little later class. Okay, so that's the come to our next, to come to the next class, and I will
Oh,
talk about widgets. Okay. If you want to experiment with it, get them to shake, and you see the plus sign, and I'm not going to go any further than that. And you can play with that plus sign and to add a calendar or a weather there. Okay. All right. Next, we're going to talk about the keyboard. And to do that, I got to disable my keyboard. Hopefully I did that. Let me do something. Do it on my iPhone. All right, let's open the application called Notes. And first of all, I'll just talk a little bit about Notes. Notes is an application Apple has. It's one of Apple's primary applications. And what it does is it's like a memo pad that you have with you all the time. And you can put all kinds of things in Notes. For example, I have my Costco's card, a picture taken. I have my with my shot card for COVID. I have it as a picture I've taken in Notes. Okay, I have books that I may have read, bourbon that I like. Okay, subscriptions that I have.
Wow.
When I go to the doctor, they're always asking me for what my medications are. So I have a list here of my medications. Right? I have in here a copy of how do you forward your phone when you go on vacation? How do you forward your landline to your cell phone? And there's a way to do that as well. So Notes is a general place that you put things. And when you first put it up there, it may come up and just look like folders like this, or it may actually be, and it says, I don't know what yours says at the top there. Mine in this case says all iCloud. Or it could be in the folders menu where I have multiple places that I put notes. Now I'm not going to get into that because all I want to do is cover how to use the keyboard. And what we do, now I have a little dot running around here on the iPad now.
It's the iPhone.
I'm sorry, the iPhone. Hopefully you can see that little dot. And you see the little square down here with a little pin. It's supposed to represent a pen and paper. And whenever you see that icon, it's the way you start a new one. In this case, it's a new note. So I go ahead and click that. And I'll do it on my iPad as well, since the keyboard came up. And it comes up and looks like that on the iPad and that on the iPhone. And wait a minute. Oh my, oh my, oh my.
There. Okay, keyboard.
Oh, I love it when it does this to me. On my iPad, you see where my keyboard is, everybody?
Mhm.
And hopefully you have a keyboard there as well. Yes?
Yes,
At least one person does.
at least on my phone, I have one. I can't use my iPad right now,
That's okay. I can't
but I
get
know
my-
it works.
There it is. Okay. And so if I type in something like a grocery list. Looks something like that, right? Now, the nice thing about notes is that the first line is the title of the note. So you'll see in the left-hand column on my iPad, it says grocery list.
Hmm.
Oh, it went away. Oh, I see what happened. Okay.
Type it,
Now-
can you type it on your iPhone and see what happens?
Sure. Now, everybody look at the screen for my iPhone right now. You see the G there? I'm going to click on the G. And all the letters turn to lowercase. Because it says you're at the beginning of a line, which they assume is a paragraph. And so you say GROCERY space LIST. And then I hit the return and notice what happens to the keys on the keyboard. They all turn to capital letters.
That's very, very nice.
So what if I wanted to get well, mashed potatoes. But I wanted the capital letter on M and I wanted a capital letter on P. Well, mashed is going to come up that way, MASHED. And I hit the space, but there's no capital letter there. In order to force a capital letter, I tap the up arrow. Okay. So anytime I want a capital letter, I can tap that up arrow. What if I wanted it to be capital all the time?
Good question.
Good question, right? You double tap that little arrow quickly, tap, tap. And it shows up as a black arrow with a little line under it. Okay. So
Yeah.
now, carrots, CAROTS. Oh. Okay. And it's all caps. Well, then the question would be, how do I turn off this all cap thing? And you do it by tapping that little arrow again. And now it's all lowercase.
Presume it does the same thing on the iPad.
Exactly the same thing on the iPad. Double tap. All right. Now, if you have this little thing up here, what it's doing is making suggestions about what you might want to be typing.
Hmm.
So if I tap LETT, notice that lettuce shows up here. And if I tap lettuce, it puts that word in there. And it's amazing the sentences you can create by just using that suggested text. They call it predictive. So if I press return and I start by just tapping up there, I don't think I can do it. And the next trick here is, how do I get a period there? Just hit the space bar quickly twice, space, and it automatically puts in a period.
0287109.
Okay. So that's predictive. We'll go through some of the settings for notes in a minute. Down here, if I want to use a different keyboard, it says I can get the 1, 2, 3 keyboard. So if I tap there, you'll notice the 1, 2, 3 keyboard comes up with some special symbols. And the ABC replaces the 1, 2, 3 in this little key over here. So if I tap ABC, it takes me back to that keyboard. Last but far from least, or next but far from least, is more symbols. So if the symbol you're looking for example, plus sign, well, there's the plus sign, an equal sign. If the symbol you're looking for isn't there, you tap that and you get some more symbols. So those are a bunch of different keyboards you have. And in settings, what you can do, you see the globe I have? Now yours may just be a happy face right here.
Yes.
If you have a globe there, you not only have a happy face, you have additional keyboards. And you say, well, what do you need additional keyboards? Well, if I'm Korean, I would want this keyboard. And if I press and hold it, I can get the Emoji Keyboard. So I can put in, let's see, a frown here because you're not getting any ice cream. Right. Now, one of the things I'd like you to pick up here is, you see down below, this is like a visual table of contents. And right now I'm looking at all the faces, right? If I tap that soccer ball down there, it will take me to emojis that have to do with sports.
Mm.
Now I could have gotten there by putting my finger here on the screen and just dragging it across, whoops, not that way. Just dragging it across the screen to get all the different emojis. It's like paging through a book. And I can get to the page I want without paging completely through it by tapping, for example, the happy face down here at the bottom, and it takes me to the emojis again. That kind of makes sense to everybody? And the reason I'm making a point of that is oftentimes you'll see an application come up and you got to check that bottom bar. Okay, so you can tell what it's going to do. or what you can do with that app. And in this case, I can go to transportation apps or emojis. And if I go to the left there, it says ABC. I tap ABC and I'm back to my normal keyboard. All right.
Mine has to choose it. I'm working on my iPhone and I could get the choice of keyboards, but I had to, one
Press it.
highlighted itself.
Right. So it depends on how the settings are.
Okay.
What I'd like to do is go to show you what some of the settings for your keyboard are, and then we'll come back here. So press the home button. And now you've closed notes, but you haven't stopped it from running. It's still there where you left it. And now I'm going to go to settings. And once I'm in the settings menu, everybody able to get to settings menu? If not, please speak up.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
And then I'm going to go to general. And then I'm going to scroll down to where it says keyboard. Okay. And mine says I have 3 keyboards. Yours probably says it has 2.
Yes.
That's because I added one called the Korean one. Okay. And you do that by clicking add new keyboard. Now we don't need to do that right now, but I do want you to see right here where it says that little arrow right there. That just takes you to another menu and you can hit the back arrow at the top and not do anything with it. So I'll go to English here, hit the arrow, oops, with my finger. And I could have the QWERTY, the AZ, 2 different QWERTY keyboards, etc. But if I don't want to change that, I just hit the arrow and go back at the top. Again, that's just the general navigation technique that everybody uses. And then hit it again, and I'm back to the screen. All right. Now I'm going
Are
to
you
skip. Go ahead.
Are you hitting on the word keyboards,
Okay.
not in the word
Yes.
general? Okay.
I'm hitting right here
Okay.
with that back arrow on it. See it?
Oh. Okay, I got it now. Thank you.
Makes sense?
Yes, thank you.
And if I wanted to go back one more, I would hit the back arrow again. Okay. All right. Auto correction. So if you type in something like THSI, it probably would replace it with this. You do want it to check spellings. I don't remember what shortcuts are. Predictive is that bar at the top. Smart punctuation is I double tap the space bar and I got a period, right? You can, if you have a split keyboard and you don't want it, here's where you would turn it off. And I want you to click Enable Flicks. Okay. Now, see where it says text replacement here at the top?
Yes.
I'm going to tap the little arrow on text replacement. Okay. And I've got a bunch of different text replacements there. For example, if I type in WTC followed by a space bar, it will replace it with William T. Crowe. If I type in an O followed by an @ sign, it will type in my email address. If I type in an @ sign A, it will put in my address. And no matter where I'm using the keyboard, this will happen. All right, so you're saying, wow, that's pretty clever. How could I do my initials and get my name? Well, you see the plus sign right here? Go ahead and tap the plus sign. And what you type in here would be your full name. So in my case, it'll be William Thomas Crow Jr. or, you know, Ivan Idiot or something like that, right? And then down here where it says shortcut, you put in the shortcut you would like to type in order to generate that. So in my case, I put my initials, WTC. Or @ sign, what was it? @ sign. Oh. Or question mark, question mark, question mark. I got William T. Crow as well, right? So everybody try that, because I want to go back and try it with notes.
You've typed in your name and your shortcut.
Yep.
Where do you go from there? Hit save.
You probably want to hit save.
Thank you very much. I missed you saying that.
I didn't say that. I'm glad you
No.
figured it. I'm glad you figured it out.
Now where do you go back?
Okay, now we're going to press the home button or go to the home screen.
Hmm,
And open up notes again. Okay, and so now I'm here and I'll show you WTC space. Can you see what it did?
hmm.
So try yours, shortcut.
Did it?
How about that? All right. The next thing I'd like to show you on this keyboard are these little things. See where it's a Q and then there's a 1 up here? A W and a 2, an A and an @ sign, a Z and a percentage.
No.
What they're telling you there is that if you press, and I'm going to do it in a minute, if you press and hold that key and pull it down, instead of getting an R, I will get a 4. So I'm going to do it. I'm going to put my finger on the R and pull down. And you see how it changed to a 4? And then I release and I get a 4. If I want an H, if I want a left-hand paren, I put my finger on it and pull down and I get that particular. So it's kind of nice that you don't have to go to the number keyboard to get that information. So if I wanted to put in my address, I could go 6, 2, 3, 4. Oh, got too many letters.
Does it do that on an iPhone? Because mine doesn't even have the numbers above it.
That's correct. It does not do this on an iPhone.
Thank you.
Now, what you can do on an iPhone and iPad, and this is one most people don't know, nor do they need it. But if I press and hold the A, and then slide my finger up, I can get one of those A's that show up. So if I'm trying to type in German or French or some other language, I would go up and type, and Barbell's going to have to help me with this. I would get the A for that particular pronunciation for that language. So it happens on A, E, I, O, and U, and it also happens on other things for example, if I go to the number keyboard and I press and hold the $sign, I'll get different currency nomenclature. So if I want the euro, I would slide my finger up and do that. So try that. See if you can get that to work for you.
Question, Bill,
Go ahead.
degrees. We're often writing because we don't have the little degree sign. Where is that? Like if you're putting in 74 degrees.
I know. I'm gonna have to find it. I don't see it anywhere.
I happen to know it's there.
You know it's there?
I happen to know that it's there because someone showed it to me once. I've never-
I have no idea. Hey, Bill, help. How do we do a degree symbol? Bill, are you there? He's
Yeah, I'm just
Present
looking.
on, it's present on the G board,
on the who board?
the Google text, the Google keyboard.
Oh, we're not on the, we're doing notes here, not Google.
I know.
It's complicated enough.
Oh. Presley,
Somebody found it?
yes.
Where is it?
On the number sign, on the number section of the keyboard,
Yeah,
put your finger on the last digit, which is a 0, and
yeah.
hold it, and the icon, the little 0 thing comes
Aren't
up.
we a genius?
No, we aren't.
Thank
We just
you.
lucked out. We just lucked out. The only
Wonder
thing that's
what's gonna
happened to me
happen on
all
that.
week.
And that's the only one that does that too. That's cool. Thank you.
Welcome. As I said, it was pure luck.
Thank you, Leah.
You're welcome.
All right. The other one that's really, really nifty here is the trackpad. You can turn your keyboard into a trackpad. I'm going to take my finger and I'm going to, this works on both the iPhone and the iPad, and I'm going to press the space bar and hold it down. And you see how my finger's on the space bar holding it down, and the whole keyboard went blank. Now, if I move my finger, watch the cursor on the screen. As I move my finger, it changes the location of the cursor. So it's one way you can change the location of the cursor very precisely.
Oh,
Okay?
Can you do that on the iPhone?
Yes, you can.
yes, I'm doing it on the iPhone.
All right. Now, many people say, well, if you put your finger, and I'm going to put it by I'm going to tap, see where it says 6234 Buckingham Street? I'm going to tap at the end of that. And it moved the cursor there. And you can move the cursor that way. And you see how it does it there?
Wow.
So I'm moving the cursor around so you can see where it's going. But it's kind of hard sometimes because your finger's on top of where you want to go. But they've gotten better at it. The space bar, since your hands are on the keyboard anyway, it's a little easier.
If you go past the word, it goes automatically back to the into the word.
Yep. Yep. Now, I didn't cover the backspace key. So if I wanted to get rid of, if I'm down here at the bottom and I wanted to get rid of lettuce, I'm going to move my cursor up to press the space bar, move it up to lettuce, and then hit the back arrow that's on the screen. And it will delete one letter at a time. With Apple, there's only backspace. There's no delete that deletes the other way.
Take out the L.
Say again?
Please take out the L of lettuce.
Okay.
What I was wanting to see is, did it move up and fill in that space, but it
If I'm
doesn't.
backspace one more, it will.
Oh. Glad I asked the question.
Good question, of course.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I just did some emails. That'd be so helpful.
Oh, and the ultimate. You see this little microphone down here on my screen? I think you probably have it on yours as well.
It's in a different place on the iPad. I mean,
On the
iPhone.
iPhone. Yep, it's right there on the right.
Mhm.
What you can do is amazing. It's called speech to text. So I'm going to send a note to, I'm going to make a new note. And I'm going to send a note to my son without typing anything. Well, I'm going to make a note to my son. So I tap the microphone. Hi, Dave. Semicolon. New line. How are things in San Jose today? Question mark. New line. Hope you get over the cold you got while you were in Florida. Period. New line. Love. New line. Dad. I tap the lower left-hand corner of my screen, lower right-hand corner of my screen, and I've got the message. All right.
What did you tap?
Oh, to stop it,
Yes.
I'm gonna,
No, to send it.
just don't say anything for a minute. Right. Okay. Now, one of the cool things about this, in any note that you type, you can do something with the note. So let's say I have this note and I wanted to send a message or send it as an email to my son. Because sometimes it's easier to get into notes and write your whole document and then take that document and send it to somebody. One of the features of notes is this little 3 dots. And again, this little 3 dots gives you additional menu items in addition to these that are listed here. For example, if I tap the 3 dots, I got a whole bunch of options here, and one is send a copy. Whoa, that's cool. So I'm going to tap that little arrow. See this little box? This is like lesson number 5 for today that you should remember. This little box is called the share box, and it gives me options I can do with whatever I'm looking at. If I'm looking at a picture, if I'm looking at an email, and you get the share box, it's something you can do with it. So I'm going to tap the share box. And it says, I can airdrop it, message it, or mail it. I'm going to tap where it says mail there. That would be this guy right here. Okay. And look at that. fills it all in, the whole thing. All I need to do is go up here and type in the address, and it's being sent. Okay,
Wow.
I could print it at this point. I could send it as a message. It opens up message, puts it in there, and I would type his name. And then I could send it. Okay. Remember I said I had a picture? So I'm going to start a new note. And you'll notice how I have a note there over here. It says, "Hi, Dave. Here's my grocery list." Here's a grocery list from a previous class, I think. Okay. Oh, no, that was a grocery list that said mashed potatoes. Anyway, I'm going to start a new note. And how do I start a new note? The pen and paper. Always remember the pen and paper. Only this time I'm going to add a picture. And there's a camera there. Apple does a relatively nice job of trying to give the symbolism of what you're trying to do. So I'm going to tap that camera. And it says, you want to take a photo or choose a photo? I'm going to choose a photo. And it opens up my my pictures. And let me go down here to, oh, a nice sunset. Right? And then I just want to add it to this note.
What did you choose?
Okay, isn't that a cool picture?
Mm-hmm.
That was a great sunset that evening. All right. So that's an easy way to add a picture to your note. You could do some scribbles on the note. Not many people use that, or you could create a bulleted list. That's by typing or clicking on this thing or this. And I don't want to get too far into this. The key things I would like you to know from now on is those three little dots give you another menu. You don't have to use it, but you can see what that brings up. I'll tap it. And if I don't want anything on the list that's here, I just tap somewhere else on the screen and it disappears. And the other one is the new note, pen and paper. Those are general things that will appear a lot of different places, like over here, we got three dots. Those three dots give you a different, right? It says if I want to view my notes as a gallery, wow, how's that work? I'm going to try it. Okay, so here's the gallery of all my notes. And I can choose, hit those three dots and change it back to list. Okay, everybody? Again, I'm trying to give you some general things that apply not just to notes, but to every place you might go. All right. Let's everybody back to your home screens. I'm going to start with the iPhone and ask this question. How many ways can your iPhone communicate outside of itself? Okay. In other words, if I wanted to send an email, how can I do that?
Through notes.
On your phone, there's a thing called cellular data. right? So it actually communicates through the cell phone towers. Some iPads have cellular data, most of them do not. So that's one way you can communicate outside your phone and some iPads. The next one is Wi-Fi. And that's a communication device called a modem or router in your home, in the grocery store, in McDonald's, in Starbucks, at the airport, and on a lot of planes now, they have a Wi-Fi network. You have to be within about 60 feet of the little box in order for it to work. So that's number 2. Number 3 way to communicate is Bluetooth. On your phones, many of us have cars that are equipped with Bluetooth, and we can have our phones connect to this, for example, stereo system in your automobiles and play music or receive phone calls. On your car system through Bluetooth in your phone. So you get a phone call on your phone, and then the car system recognizes it because it's Bluetooth connected to your phone. So that's 3 ways it talks outside of itself. Other devices that you might communicate with Bluetooth would be speakers, keyboards, microphones, and in my case, I have a mouse, which is a Bluetooth mouse, so that I can have my mouse, and I'll go to my iPad here. See the little dot? And I got to get the arrow out of the way.
What's wrong with the arrow?
The arrow was my computer mouse.
Oh,
This is a Bluetooth mouse,
Oh.
which represents my finger moving around the screen. I haven't touched the screen yet until it makes it lightens up. So I'm right there, and I'm going to touch the screen or simulate touching the screen. It darkens, and now the icons are blinking. If I put my mouse point or my little dot over notes and click on it, brings up my notes. All right. A 4th way that our iPhones communicate is called near field communications, NFC. And what it's used for example, is to input your credit card information into the credit card receiver at your grocery store. So on my phone, I bring up I have a wallet on my phone, and we'll talk about that at some later time. I put my credit cards in my phone, and for it to work, I have to have logged into my phone, but I double tap and it comes up with my credit card. And now I see where it says hold near reader. And it will use that credit card and pay my bill. So I don't need my credit cards with me any longer. Now, some states are continuing to improve upon this and actually putting your driver's license in wallet. Okay. So you can sweep your driver's license. Some of the things I didn't talk about before are gestures. If you put your finger here and move it this way, it goes from screen to screen, and you move it back, left to right. Right? Excuse me. If you put your finger clear up here in the top right edge and pull it down, you get something called the control center. Again, that's something we'll talk about later, but you get the control center. If you put your finger over here, see my dots? I'm at the left-hand most dot. And if I put it here and pull this way, I get something called widgets. And we'll talk about that later. So if I sweep this way, there's dot number 2 down here. Here's dot number 3. And what happens if I go to the next dot? It comes up with something called the app library. This is a list of all the applications I have on my device. We do it on the iPhone as well. And Apple has grouped them in folders for you. If you don't happen to know which folder it's in, you can click up here at the top. And hopefully everybody's looking at their app library. And if you tap up here at the top,
You get an alphabetical listing.
it lists them alphabetically. And you can scroll up and look at them. Same on the iPhone.
Mhm.
If you tap where it says app library. And if you're looking for a particular app, you can tap there and enter photo, PHO. And it tells you the different apps that have to do with photos. Okay. And if you press the home button several times, it goes back to your home screens. Remember I said to you earlier that when we had notes running and it's still running in the background, when I click on notes, it takes me back to notes where I was when I was last using it. And I pressed my home button, or if I'm on my iPhone, it doesn't have a home button. I sweep up from the bottom. It takes me back to the home screen. The apps are still running in the background. And the way you can find out how many apps you have running is by pressing the home button twice quickly. Press. And it shows me I have 2 applications running on my iPad. Well, it's not quite that easy on the iPhone without the home button. Or if you have an iPad without the home button. Okay, where'd my little dot go here? That's working. See the little dot on my screen here?
Mhm.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it off the bottom edge and I'm going to press and hold and pull up and stop in the middle. Put it down here, press on the screen and pull it up and stop in the middle. And it comes up like that. And it shows me I have the same 2 apps running on my iPhone. Now, if you scroll across those screens, you may have 20 or well, let me put it this way. before class, I went through and cleared all of them. I had like 25 running. So you may have a bunch running. And the way you clear them is you put your finger in the middle and you pull up quickly, yep, like that. And now that app's no longer running on your device. You haven't deleted it. You just stopped it from running. So I'd like you all to get rid of the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 that you might have running. If they're running, they're taking battery life because they're occupying space and memory that you could be doing other things with or speeding up your device by not having them running in the background.
At the one class, you said do that every morning when you first turn on your iPad in the morning.
That's
or
a
your
good thing.
iPhone.
That's a good thing to do. I don't remember it all the time, so.
Mm.
Everybody able to do that?
Yes, do it frequently.
All right. And there's one other sweep you can do. If you put your mouse from on the iPhone now, if you put your finger at the top right edge and pull down, you get something called the notification center. I'm sorry, top left edge. And pull down, notification center. Same thing on the iPhone. Put your finger on the top left edge and pull down. You get the notification center.
Hmm.
Okay? Any general questions I have right now? Because I'm not going to add new material right now. We'll save that for next time. So any general questions?
Just a comment. My iPad just told me, Bill, that it's your birthday today.
It is.
Happy birthday.
Thank
Yeah.
you. That smart iPad, boy.
Yeah, I can't believe it, but okay.
The reason it showed you that was that at some point you were in a class I had and I sent you my contact information. And so my name is in your contacts,
Uh-huh.
as is my birthday, because I put it in there.
That's cool. Well, have a great birthday.
Thank you. Well, for your information, if you have anyone in your contacts and you go to that person and tap edit, there's an area where you can add their birthday. And it will not only show up on your calendar, it will give you a little notice that it's the birthday is today or whenever it is.
Hmm. That's fantastic. Yay.
Yeah, little bit.
Bill, question.
Go.
In any of the sessions that you're planning, will you be covering the Apple Pencil?
I can cover that shortly. At a later session. Yeah, yes, David.
Okay.
Got to find my pencil here. There it is. But it's you have to plug it in to charge it, and once you get it charged, it connects, I believe, automatically. And then it's just like using your finger, only much more precise.
Never getting that to work.
That's the short version of it. All right. Second tip. The second tip is guard your lock screen. Siri can help you in so many ways, yet it is not, you need to be careful with it. Your digital assistant can help others to snoop on you. It can be pretty alarming to learn the variety of personal information anyone can access from your lock screen via Siri, including your home address. Siri, where do I live? Siri, what's my next appointment? if you'd rather not allow strangers to access Siri for directions to your home, among other things, just go to settings, and I'm going to go to settings now on my iPad. You go to settings, touch ID and password, or face ID and password. Enter your passcode.
What?
Wait a minute. Passpace. Right. Scroll down to allow access when locked. Where is it? Okay. There is a section there called allow access when locked. And you can turn all those off so that they can't access anything when your iPhone or iPad is locked.
Where do you go on a iPhone to do that?
Same place.
Can you
Settings.
do it on the iPhone, Bill?
Say again.
Can you
Go
do
to
it on the iPhone?
settings, you scroll down to Face ID or Touch ID and passcode. Tap that.
Wait a minute. Okay.
You scroll down to where it says allow access when locked. I'm going to turn all those off. Okay. So now they don't have access to any of that.
Is that a good thing to do?
Yes.
Are they just automatically on when you get the phone?
Probably a lot of them may be. Have I any other questions?
Bill,
Go.
yes. Why would you want to turn all those off?
You're allowing access when your device is locked. So if somebody gets a hold of it, they can access, for example, your address. It's only when locked. You have access to it all other than when it's locked. But all you're doing is controlling when your device is locked. What can you do with it?
Wait a minute, something's not adding up here. Wait a minute.
It's a category right there. Allow access when locked.
Let's find it.
Wait a minute.
It will say iPhone unlocked, and then if it's in green, does that mean it's
Well,
locked?
I'm in this section called allow access when locked. See the
Okay.
terminology there?
So all those should be turned off?
I believe so, yes. So you have
Why
to
is-
enter your passcode in order to use the features. And if you find something that you want to have while the phone is locked, and I can't think of one right now, you can go here and turn it on.
So when it's locked, all those things are turned off now, right?
Correct.
When it's locked, it's all turned off.
All right.
Do you, if you needed to have it on for any reason, you would have to go back in and turn it on, right?
Yes, you'd have to come here. As I said, I can't think of a reason you would need it. So
How about when your Wi-Fi isn't working and you're trying to use your cell phone to get it back to work?
you can unlock it when
And
Wi-Fi
do
is
that.
not. Yeah, you unlock your phone. You put in the 4-digit, 6-digit
Yeah,
code.
okay,
You
got it.
have your fingerprint or face, and then you're off and running.
Well, Bill, why would anybody want to turn those on anyway?
Good question. Ease of access, I guess.
Ease of access.
I don't have
Right.
to unlock it to get my address or get maps to work, I guess. I don't.
If since you use Apple Pay or your wallet,
Well, I wouldn't want
that
it
has to
there,
be
especially.
open. That has to be open, right? No, only when you want to use it, you have to turn it on.
Well, hopefully I don't, somebody can't use the wallet while my iPhone is locked.
Okay.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
Is what we're doing locking the iPhone or iPad, or is it
No, no,
not?
no. All you're doing is saying when my device is locked, and
Then how do you lock it? How do you know it's locked?
right now mine is unlocked. See the unlock on there?
Yes.
Let me turn it off and back on because it's doing my face. Okay. Now I can't use any of those features because it's locked,
Okay.
right? I want to unlock it, I'll show it my face. And now it's unlocked and I can use those features.
How did you unlock it? I don't mean to sound so stupid, but I have no idea.
That was my face. It recognized my face.
Oh, so putting in the code number.
You
Mine
can
would
put in
not
your
take
code
one.
to do the same thing. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. All right.
Hmm.
An elderly man was having hearing problems and went to see the specialist. The doctor fitted him with some hearing aids that brought his hearing back to full strength. After a few weeks, the man came to make sure the new equipment was working properly, which it was. The hearing specialist said, "It all seems perfect. Your family should be delighted that they can hear everything they're saying." "Oh, no," said the man. "I haven't told them I have these hearing aids. I just sit quietly, listening carefully. I've changed my will 4 times." All right. All right, folks. Next week, we're going to dive into settings and cover the major settings. Okay?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Have a great week.
Happy
Thanks, Bill.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, Bill.
Thank you, Bill.
All right. Take
Have
care.
a great day.
Happy birthday, Bill.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
We should all sing.
Send cards and letters.
Bye.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Have a
Bye.
great week.
Me too, dear heart.
All right. Take care, everyone.